to use you in order to figure out that you were the perfect one.
Lime vibe, come let me lime, come let me vibe. Lime vibe, come let me lime, come let me vibe. Lime vibe, oh, lime vibe. Lime vibe, come let me lime, come let me vibe. Lime vibe, come let me lime, come let me vibe. Lime vibe, oh, lime vibe. Lime vibe, come let me lime, come let me vibe. Lime vibe, come let me lime, come let me vibe. Lime vibe, oh, lime vibe.
Good night, everybody, and welcome once again to another Lime Vibe Live podcast. I'm your host, Yuri Yarman Kemp, here from Nassau, Bahamas, the beautiful Nassau, Bahamas, and the very hot Nassau, Bahamas. Thank you for joining me for another Lime Vibe Live podcast. Once again, we don't have any Facebook feed. Facebook has just blocked us. They haven't blocked us, but they stopped our live feed, so we can't go live on Facebook right now. I'm trying to resolve it. I may have to start another page. I'm not sure. We'll look into it. But they said I need to get some more viewers. I need to get some more followers, some more subscribers. So maybe that may be the case. I may need to pay for an ad on Facebook to see if I can get some more subscribers on that. But anyway, thank you for joining me again for another Lime Vibe Live podcast. Once again, I'm Yuri Kemp, and you can subscribe to Lime Vibe 77 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. That's Lime Vibe 77. That's Lime Vibe 77 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Okay, let's get the show rocking up. My speech may sound a little slurred, is because, not slurred, but a little like draggy, because I have a cut on my tongue. I have a bad tooth in the back, and it's been cutting sitting on my tongue, so I may have a little like, may sound a little gobbled sometimes, but I'll try to pull through it. Okay, the first story for tonight, Venezuelan presidential elections for July 28th. And President Nicolas Maduro, the incumbent, is going to run again for another term of the presidency. And it was expected that he was going to have a shoe-in, that he was going to run away with this election again. However, there's been a challenger, a guy with the name of Edmundo Gonzalez. He's opposition candidate for president, and he's being backed by a lady who Maduro had blocked. Let me get her name for you right now. And she was the leader of the opposition at one time. Let's find the lady's name. I forgot her name. I should have wrote her name down on my thing here. 1 second. Give me a second here, people. Yeah, so, and this guy is about 7 years old. It's Edmundo Gonzalez. And apparently he's polling at least 50% of the vote already, pre-election vote in Venezuela. So apparently he's very popular, and people are getting tired of Maduro. What could you like about Maduro, really? Okay? He's destroyed his country. People are leaving Venezuela right, left, and center. And they have more migrants around the region than does Haiti. Let's see what the lady's name is. 1 second. The lady's name is Maria Corina Machado. Maria Corina Machado. She was the lead opposition candidate, but the Venezuelan courts had blocked her from running for any presidential elections in Venezuela. And so she was very popular. She was trained to beat Maduro, but now this Edmundo Gonzalez being picked up in her place, and she's been campaigning for Gonzalez as well. So this is a strong dual team in Venezuela, and people are being brave and coming out and stepping forward with them. Okay? And so it's not politics as usual, so Maduro could face a real stiff challenge now. He may have to do some real skullduggery to win this election. So we'll have to watch and see that. It's on July 28th, the Venezuelan presidential elections. Now we'll see if things have changed and whether or not the United States is going to come on back at Nuno Gonzalez, whether there's going to be any violence headed towards Mr. Gonzalez and Ms. Machado's way. We'll see, because you know Maduro's a gangster. So we have to see how this plays out. So we wish them all the best. We're going to be watching on July 28th as well. And we also have another story from around the region, right from around the Caribbean region. UNCTAD, the United Nations Trade and Development Specialist, said that the creative industry is playing an important role in the new economy. But the direct input of the Caribbean is not seen out of this $1.4 trillion wide sector. So the creative industries worldwide, UNCTAD is saying, is worth $1.4 trillion, right? But the Caribbean, they can't assess the Caribbean's trade value because there's no data from around the region. So we have a lot of musicians, a lot of poets, a lot of artists. They're putting up their content all over the place and they're not registering it. They're not doing anything. So we don't know exactly how much they're putting into this $1.4 trillion economy. They're not being paid royalties. Radio stations are playing their music all over the place and not giving them a dollar for it. And so it's really, really concerning, man, that, you know, we are not getting into this $1.4 trillion economy. And it's grown significantly from about $733 billion 3 years ago. So that means the creative industries are just exploding. But the Caribbean, we can't assess our input. That means we're getting ripped off from our creativity and our talent, man. That's $1.4 trillion. You know how much money that is? For the Caribbean not to have any dime out of it, at least not to see exactly how much we're getting out of it, because there's no data in the Caribbean to collect the information. There's no data to really assess. So we don't know. We could be getting $1, $100 million for the region. We don't know. But it's a lot of money. That's a lot of musicians, a lot of artists, a lot of poets, a lot of writers who have their content out there and they're not getting paid for it at all. It's really a sad situation. So we have to be very, very cautious of that. And UNCTAD, they're saying that Maria Henderson is her name. She's the chief of the Creative Economy Program at UNCTAD. She said that, you know, we believe strongly that the creative industries have the potential to really reimagine these economies here in the Caribbean. I believe her, I agree with her. That's why us at Caribbean Magazine Plus, through our Arawak Community, that's my second company, we're trying our best to promote as many poets, musicians, storytellers as best as we can. Because we believe in Caribbean talent. We believe in promoting Caribbean talent. Okay? And so that's what we're trying to do here through Line Vibe. This is another portal for us to really get the information out there for you people. So that's what we're trying here. That's what we're building a whole multimedia empire based on Caribbean talent. Because if Rihanna came from here, if Derek Walcott came from here, Bob Marley came from here, why can't we find somebody else? They're right here. Trust me, they're right here. To a more serious topic, into the Central American region now. As the hurricane season kicks into gear, they're talking about this Central American gyre now. The Central American gyre. It's a weather pattern in the Central American region. It's brought a torrential downpours and it's triggered landslides and flooding straight across the Central American region. Authorities in El Salvador said at least 11 people have been reported dead, and in Guatemala, they said at least 3 people have been reported drowned through this Central American gyre. A series of tropical disturbances from both Pacific and Atlantic basins have produced torrential rainfall, and by the time the pattern subsides, precipitation totals are expected to be several feet. Several feet. Some of these low-lying areas in the Central American region. So what is a Central American gyre? The CAG is what they acronym it as. It's a large, bloated area of low pressure that can be an early and late season source of tropical development and a relentless faucet of flooding rainfall. So that means it's just going to be flooding rain straight through and through. Not heavy winds, but just a flooding rain. After all the drought Panama has gone through, with no rain at all, and dry season for the last several days, now we're having torrential rains. This weather pattern is getting freakier and freakier, man. I remember when El Nino was a talk several years ago. Now we're talking about heat waves and droughts, and we're talking about the Central American gyre. The Central American gyre, my God, man. I just pray for the people who've lost their lives in El Salvador and Guatemala. I pray for their families, and I pray for those countries to find the strength to keep their people secure during the Central American gyre, during this freaky tropical storm season. That's going to end sometime in November, but we pray for them. We pray for the best. We pray for the Caribbean as well, so we don't have a Caribbean gyre. Okay? A Caribbean gyre. So yeah, we have to pray for everybody, make sure we're safe. My house is on a high hill, so I am pretty secure for the time being, but we'll have to wait and see. So let's just hope it doesn't hit any of the Caribbean islands, like how it hit, how Irma and Maria hit Puerto Rico and Dominica and Antigua and Barbuda, and how Dorian hit the Bahamas. Let's pray it doesn't happen again. Okay. Then we have another story here from someone from the OECS, Sir Ronald Sanders, the Antiguan ambassador to the United States. He's saying that the Organization of Caribbean States, they marked their 43rd anniversary on June 18th. And he's calling it one of the most successful integration programs around the world, better than the European Union's 27-nation European Union integration. He said the OECS is more successful than the CARICOM nation. I agree with him. He's right. They're more successful. And that should be studied, how the OECS, those small Eastern Caribbean states, have really got band together. So the OECS is made up of Antigua and Barbuda, I think it's St. Kitts and Nevis, Dominica, the British Virgin Islands, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Montserrat, St. Lucia, Grenada, and Anguilla. So those are the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. And they've banded together. I think because really they're really small, and their economies are really tiny, so they really have to depend on each other, you know. And they share this Eastern Caribbean Central Dollar, the Eastern Caribbean dollar, and so they have the same currency union, and so they share a lot of similarities and a lot of traits. They're all English-speaking countries, and the former British protectorates, and so they have a lot in common. They're all right there, smattered right down there in the Eastern Caribbean, and so they really could stand for one country. You know, they're like the Bahamas of the north, of the south, because you know the Bahamas has about 16 inhabited islands. So the Eastern Caribbean states, they're kind of like the Bahamian chain. So it really makes sense for them to have a chain and have a union to really band together, because one of them by themselves, they're really nothing. You know, but if they trade and they use the same currency, they use the same customs union, that would be a great thing, because they could band together and they could save costs. They really have nothing to hide. What do they have to hide? They have small economies. They really don't make much. You know, they have nothing really to lose. But places like the Bahamas, where we have a great fear of migration, a huge fear of migration coming from places like Haiti and Jamaica, and we don't want them in our country at all. I'm just telling you the God's awful truth. We don't want that migration. And Trinidad doesn't need you, because Trinidad has oil. They think you need Trinidad. You know, the Eastern Caribbean states. So yes, they've been successful, but bear in mind where they are. They have no other choice but to be successful amongst themselves, because they have nothing else to really trade from. They have nothing really to lose. That's just the truth. Don't shoot me for the truth. Now we have entertainment story for tonight. I don't know if you ever heard of this rapper called Remy Ma. She is involved, married to a rapper called Papoose. And well, they had a huge affair back last year when she was dating one of her battle rappers. She runs a battle rap contest as well, and she was dating one of her battle rappers, and then the affair with the battle rapper became fodder for another battle rapper, and it just spiraled out of control. And what made it so interesting with Remy Ma was that Papoose, her real husband, was holding her down while she was in jail for attempted murder. And so she got out and she started cheating on the man after he spent all his life, 7 years, waiting on her to come out of prison. He stood by a Papoose. But now her son, Remy Ma's son, is being connected to a 2021 murder. And so her son is Jason Scott, Jay Scott. And he's accused of shooting a 47-year-old man named Darius Gillibaugh of New York back in 2021. So let's watch the clip from the news station. Let's see what they got to say.
Steve Lacey.
And I'm Natasha Verma. 23-year-old Jason Scott has been arrested in connection to a murder in Queens that dates back to 2021. Investigators are looking into the possibility that it was a murder for hire.
Right, Fox 5's Teresa Priolo joins us live from Astoria, where the victim lived. Teresa, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Steve and Natasha, residents I spoke to here, they didn't know the victim, but they do know who Remy Ma is, and they're telling us that they hope her celebrity doesn't play into this case. Tonight we are learning that that victim was allegedly killed by Remy Ma's son, Jason Jace Scott. So here's what we know at this hour. 23-year-old Scott was arrested today on first-degree murder and weapons charges. It's unclear if he pulled the trigger or if he hired the hit that took the life of Darius Gillibaugh, who lived here at the Ravenswood houses in Astoria. The crime occurred nearby in broad daylight back in 2021. Gillibaugh took hits to the head and to the chest. Gillibaugh had an extensive criminal history. 8 months before he was killed, he was indicted in a massive drug trafficking operation. As for Jay Scott, he appeared alongside his mom, Remy Ma, in the hit show Love and Hip Hop. She's one of the biggest names in hip hop and has been since 2006. She also has something of a lengthy rap sheet and has done 6 years in prison on a gun crime. But none of that mattered to the folks that we talked to here in Astoria.
It doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or not. If you commit a crime, you're supposed to be paid for the crime you committed.
It could be anybody. It doesn't matter. You know, if they're, you know, their mother's famous or father's, it doesn't matter.
We got the police station on the corner. We got sanitation. So not too many things happening here. They happen around here, but not in here. It's really difficult.
We received a statement from Remy Ma's attorney about Jay Scott. That came in late this afternoon. They said that Remy Ma hoped to publicly address this. She's been advised not to, so they told us, quote, nevertheless, Remy Ma is committed to proving Jason's innocence and supporting her child during this time. We stand by Jason's innocence and hope the NYPD will conduct a complete and thorough investigation to reveal the truth. Now, back out here live, we should also tell you that a second man, a man by the name of Richard Swigert, was also arrested and charged with murder and weapons charges. Steve and Natasha, it's unclear what led to this, if there was any relationship between these guys before this murder happened. We can tell you that we are expecting Scott to be arraigned early next week. That's the latest from Astoria tonight. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, Teresa, thank you.
So I guess it's like mother like son. She was in jail for attempted murder. Now he's facing a murder charge. Wow, that's how these things go, man. But you know, that's the life you live. You know, you don't take care of your kids. But she was in jail for a while, so she really wasn't watching her child for about 7+ years. And then she's an entertainer; she's always around the place, so she really didn't have an eye on him the way a mother really should. So he's been running reckless, without any supervision at all. So it's just unfortunate, man. Just unfortunate, you know. And that's how these things go, man. And so we just have to pray for Remy Ma and her son. If he's not guilty, he'll be found not guilty. But then, you know, the United States isn't really, you know, kind to black men. And you already hear them saying that they hope a celebrity doesn't play into all of this, that it doesn't cause him to get off. So they're really looking at him with a really hard eye right now for this murder back in 2021. So we just have to wait to see how this plays out. You know. So okay, let's start from the top, man. Like I said, Venezuelan elections are on July 28th. And it looks like Nicolas Maduro has his hands full. You know, he has a strong challenge in this Edmundo Gonzalez, and he's backed by the leader of the opposition, Corina Machado. And so, you know, this Edmundo Gonzalez gentleman, he's 70 years old, and he's polling at least 50% in the polls. I don't know how much of those polls in Venezuela you really could trust, but I guess for a poll to be taken in Venezuela against such oppression under the Maduro regime, it has to be really, really serious. It has to be really, really serious discontent with the Maduro regime for those people to speak out against such oppression, you know. And so we're seeing, and then Maduro really had the Russians come over there, and sorry, it was Cuba. My apologies, it was Cuba. Sorry, it wasn't Venezuela. So we just have to see how Maduro plays this out. He may have to do some real strong arm tactics to really win this next election, but we'll have to see, you know. And the polls aren't looking good for him, so we'll just have to keep on watching this. Of course, you know, Maduro has beaten all the other opposition opponents. He's run them into hiding. He's used tactics that have really forced them into exile. Juan Guaido, who was battling Maduro underneath the Obama administration, you know, he's left Venezuela altogether. He went to Colombia. And I don't know where he is now. So where is he in all this mix here? Let's find out where Juan Guaido is. 1 second. Let's see where Juan Guaido is. Juan Guaido. He's the former acting president of Venezuela. He hasn't said a word. He hasn't been seen since Venezuela issued a warrant for his arrest back in 2023. And so this Maria Machado really stepped into his place. And so now, God knows what's going to happen to Juan Guaido, but we'll see. But that's the Venezuelan presidential election on July 28th. Then we also spoke about this UNCTAD, this United Nations Trade and Development Specialist, Maria Henderson, who said that, you know, there's a $1.4 trillion sector out there for the creative economies, and the Caribbean doesn't have any assessment in it whatsoever. We don't know how much the assessment of that is from the Caribbean, because there's just not enough data. We're not collecting data on our artisans and our creative thinkers and our creative our artisans, man. We need to start collecting this data, you know. We just can't have our poets, our singers, our songwriters, our writers, our artists, our sculptors, putting their information, putting their content out there without them being collected and trademarked, and for them to get their real intellectual property trademarked and stamped on their intellectual property, man. So out of a $1.4 trillion economy, we can't get any information on the Caribbean because the information is just not being made available from the Caribbean on how they're really watching their artisans and their artists. That's a real shame, you know. That's a real disgrace. After all this time we've been talking about protecting our artisans for at least the past 20 years now, and we've all talked about how we're going to put in place IP regimes, intellectual property regimes, and trademark regimes, and nothing's happened, and we still don't have the data. That's just a bloody shame. They're just a $1.4 trillion economy, and we can't assess how much that is of the Caribbean because we don't have the data, because we're not collecting the data. That's a shame. What a shame. And like I said, our third story was the Central American gyro that's killed 11 people in El Salvador and another 3 people in Guatemala. This gyro is giving torrential downpour of rain and torrential floods across the Central American region. And floods have reached several feet by now from what they've said, our reports have said. And this is the Central American gyro is a large bloated area of low pressure that can be an early sign of heavy hurricanes for the rest of the year. It's produced torrential rainfall and heavy flooding. So, yeah, the Central American gyro is really hitting the Central American region. So we have to pray for those people and those people who lost their lives, and the family of those people who lost their lives. God be with them. Then we also had Sir Ronald Sanders talking about how the OECS is a real success story, bigger than that of the European Union, 27-member European Union, how the integration has gone so well. And he's right. Like I said, but they have nothing to lose. You know, these are Eastern Caribbean states. They have nothing to lose. The Eastern Caribbean states of Antigua and Barbuda, Anguilla, St. Kitts and Nevis, Dominica, the British Virgin Islands, Grenada, St. Lucia, Montserrat, St. Vincent the Grenadines. I mean, what do they have to lose? They're small enough to themselves. They're insignificant on the speck of things. So it behooves them to really join together. It behooves them to join together. And they have their own currency union, the Eastern Caribbean dollar, and that's working out for them. And I think that's good for them. And it's a real success story, I must admit. But they had no choice but to. It was best for them to do that. And the good thing about them is that they're all former British protectorates. You know, I think the British Virgin Islands is still a British protectorate, still under the Crown, the British Crown. And so they're all together, right? And they all have the same linguistic pattern, the same cultural background, the same history of slavery, all that. They're almost the same country when you really look at it, you know. And so with that being said, you know, Sir Ronald Sanders is right, but they had no choice. They're not, like, they don't have the benefit of the Bahamas where we're right next door to the United States. We're actually right there, you know. And Nassau is closer to Florida than North Carolina is to Florida, than Georgia is to Florida, than, you know, Atlanta is to Miami, sorry. Nassau is closer to Miami than Atlanta is to Miami. Okay? So we can get on a plane and be in Miami in about half an hour and board and disembark and everything and be on terra firma in Miami in about half hour, 45 minutes. You can't say that about the Eastern Caribbean states. They had a plot and plan to go to Miami. Going to Miami is my right. So they have a different thing. So they have to band together. Because it's only them. It's only them down there. We have to be mindful of that. And so they're doing a good job down there, and I praise them. And I get the news every now and then. You know, I post on the Caribbean Magazine Plus too. You know, and they're really doing a good job down in the Eastern Caribbean states. You know, I like how they banded together, and they're really sharing the same economies down there. They're really sharing all the same administrative responsibilities. And they're coming together, man. Good luck for them. Their anniversary. I think it's their 43rd anniversary. A success story. And I agree with Sir Ronald Sanders, you know. And then we had a story about Remy Ma, an entertainment story, Remy Ma and her son, Jason Scott, who has been arrested for murder back in 2021 of a gentleman called Darius Gillibrow, a 47-year-old man called Darius Gillibrow. All right? And, you know, Remy Ma is a famous rapper. You know, she's married to another rapper called Papoose. And she herself spent time in jail for attempted murder, 7 years. And so we're watching that story as well. So that's our entertainment story for tonight. But I thank you guys for watching me again for another Lion Vibe Live podcast. I'm your host, Yari Yarman Kemp here from Nassau, Bahamas. And please, like I said, we're only on YouTube tonight. We're not on Facebook. And so we're going to fix that Facebook page sooner rather than later. Hopefully we'll pay for an ad and get some more likes, some more subscribers. Only $5 to get it done. We just want to build it organically, We don't want to pay for any ads, but we may pay for an ad. I'm going to pay for an ad and, get the likes up. So we'll see it from there. So thank you for joining me again for another Line Vibe Live podcast. I'm your host, Yori Armin Camp, here from Nassau, Bahamas. And we'll see you again next week, Friday, with another show. Hopefully we got some more information, more content for you. Take care. Bye-bye.